Hello everybody, this is Mr. B, and on Music Notes today we're going to be learning about different sounds that we can get from synthesizers. So, let's go. On today's lesson, we're going to be exploring the different presets from Roland Cloud, and specifically the Juno 60, which is an emulation of a classic synthesizer that Roland made in the early 1980s. First off, we are going to make our own chord progression. Now, how are we going to do that? We are going to go to this website. Let me show you. And it's called OneMotion.com. And I'll put it all in your Google Classroom stream. Now, let me show you how this works. And we are going to be focusing on 2-chord progression. Many songs just have 2 amazing chords, and that's all that we are really going to be searching for in this particular lesson. Okay, so instead of just finding some chords, you're going to decide on what scale, what kind of chords you want, and the syncopation of it. So it's really easy to do on this website. These follow the circle of fifths, which is a way to identify which chords belong together. And we'll talk about that later in the lesson. So first off, we have the different styles. We have the different scales. And we have the different instruments. We're going to be using this just as MIDI information. So the instrument is not very important, but it can give you a nice idea about what the chord progression is going to sound like. So choose your instrument, whatever it happens to be. Okay, there's a lot of different kinds. I'm just going to use upright piano. All right. Now, before I go into the style, I'm going to select my chord progression. You have to know whether you want your song to be a minor or a major scale. You can see here's major, and here's minor, and here's different types of minor or major scales. You don't have to be a music theory superstar to understand all of these, but if you listen to them, you might like one better than the other. They're all a little bit different in the way that the scale articulates up and down. So you can take a look at whatever one that you want. I'm just going to stick with a good old regular minor scale for this assignment, for this demonstration. There's also modes. Modes are pretty awesome because these are very creative additions to the scale, and you can go ahead and explore it further, like the modern Western. I'm a big fan of the Dorian mode. Here's the Lydian mode. See how they're just minorly different. All right, so for this, I'm just going to pick the Dorian mode. And if I go to search by chords, let's cancel out of there. And I'm just going to select OK. All right, so wait, I have F minor. And you can choose whatever you want to. You know what? Let's pick G sharp just for the fun of it. G sharp harmonic minor with the Dorian mode. Actually, this is just a G sharp Dorian. All right. Anyways, now it gives me the chords. Now, without having to know too much about chord progressions, and we'll talk about that further, especially with like 4-chord progressions. That's not what this lesson is. This lesson is to find 2 chords that you really like, because so many songs are just 2 chords. You find 2 amazing chords, you can make a whole perfect song. So I already picked G sharp minor. Okay, so these are, the black are the initial. The ones above it and below it are additions. So for example, this G sharp minor in black, that's like the root that I set it to. Above is G sharp suspended 2. So it's the same chord, just a little bit different. So I'm going to select 2 chords. And those are going to be my 2 chords. I like the sound of those 2 together, and that's it. So I have G sharp minor and D sharp minor. Now, if there's anything down in below in the chord progression, go ahead and delete that. But if there isn't, then you can just simply drag and drop these into it. So the way that the chords are going to be structured is depending on your style. All right, this is going to give you different types of MIDI chord data. So you pick something that is what you prefer. There's styles in the general, right? So you have your tempo, your time signature, ratio, sustain of the notes is 2 beats. You can look at the chords and custom, and it'll even give you a bass track. Remember, this is all free. So if I go to style, and I'm not going to do anything too fancy here, maybe I'll do pop 2. And you can further explore any of these that you wish. Remember, it's MIDI, so you can always change that however you want to. Remember that it's MIDI, so you can change it however you want to. Okay. So I'm going to drag that in here. So this is 1 bar. I want my chord progression to be 2 bars for each chord. And then I'm going to take the D minor and add that twice. So just to listen to it. Okay, that's a real rough idea about the song that I'm going to be making. All right, so next we're going to export this MIDI. This is an absolute amazing resource for chord progressions, especially if you don't know how to play piano like I don't. But I still want to have control of whatever the chord progression is going to be. So now I'm going to say export MIDI file right here. Export MIDI file. Boom, selected. Here's my chords. Okay, at 90 BPM, doesn't matter the BPM because whatever I drop it into my DAW, it will adjust to that. Yeah, sure, I'll take the bass notes and the chords. So now I'll have 2 tracks. All right, so up here at the top right, it's going to download it. And now in Studio One, I'm going to drag and drop my chord progression right into the track of the Juno 60. I want you guys to explore, start with the Juno 60. All right, and this is the reason why. There are so many different types of sounds we can get with synthesizers, and the Juno 60 is going to be like a introduction to that. Okay, so I am going to now drag and drop my MIDI file right into Studio One on that track. Okay. All right, now I've got 2 tracks because this is a bass track. Super cool. So now that is step 1, finding your 2 chords for this assignment. Okay, now that we have 2 chords, let's explore the different types of sounds that we can find on a synthesizer, especially a digital synthesizer. So this is the Juno 60, and with our Roland Cloud membership, we have a huge collection of synthesizers. So we're just going to start with the Juno 60. Okay, so with that quick run through of it. So the best way to find sounds that you like on a synthesizer, especially a digital synthesizer, is exploring the presets because they're already made. We're going to learn what all of this stuff does this school year. Okay, but let's just start and have some fun with the presets. But we have to know what the presets mean. There's two ways to access the presets. You see this panel right here down at the bottom where it says patch. All right, we can select that, and that will give us a whole lot of presets. Okay, these are the presets that come with it. These are the additional presets from the Roland Cloud Manager. So you have a ton of different options. That's one way to access the presets. The other way is at the top left. You can see it where it says here, and it's exactly the same. We can also access all the presets with this control browser right here. Although it has a couple other things that we can access, and it will make it easy, like this browse function, for example. If I put on the browse function, here are all the presets. Now, if you love, and I highly suggest you do this, you love a preset, oh, okay, open up the browser tab, and then on whatever preset that you loved, there is a rating, and you can give it 3 stars, 2 stars, or 1 star. Because you might be going through presets and you're like, whoa, that's amazing. It's not really for what I'm doing right now, but I really love that. I want to access it later. This is the best way, because later on, and with this many presets, that's like thousands of presets, it's easy to lose what you were trying to find. Now, if I've got it ranked, look, now I go to the ranking. There's the one I just ranked, top ranking right here. Okay? So, and when you're going through, let me put that again, and you really like something, give it a rating. And how you do that is through the browser tab. Here's the edit tab. There's 2 different tabs. There's the edit tab and the browser tab. Edit tab, the browser tab. Now, the reason I'm going over all of this in detail is because all of the Roland synthesizers look the same, and all of this information I'm telling you is universal for all of the Roland synthesizers. Whether you're trying to find a preset or you're trying to store a preset, it's going to be the same. Okay, now let's go over what these cool sounds actually are and what they mean. Okay, first off, let's look at the preset 1, and let's just look at all of these different names. If it has an SY, all right, that usually means, and it's going to mean synth. That usually means it's going to be polyphonic and not monophonic. Now, here's the difference, okay? And I'll put this on the screen. Polyphonic synthesizers can play more than 1 note at a time. So that would be useful for chords. Monophonic synthesizers can only play 1 note at a time. 1 note at a time. And that is great for bass and leads. Okay, there's a huge difference there. So you have to know what we're looking for. If you're looking for something that can play chords, that's going to be polyphonic. If you're looking for something that does not play chords and you're only focusing on bass or a melody or a lead, then that is going to be monophonic. Okay? So SY is going to signal synth. SY. That is polyphonic. All right, you want to give a listen? Okay, let's check it out. Okay, that is polyphonic. SY is going to mean synth. Okay, let's go to the next one. SQ. All right, if you see an SQ, that's going to mean sequence. Now, this arpeggiates. Arpeggiate means to play a chord one note at a time. And a sequence can be a type of arpeggiating notes. So SQ is a sequence. You want to hear what an arpeggiator sounds like? Okay, let's listen. I'm just going to be playing the same chord using these different sounds. Okay, that's an arpeggiator. The next on the list is going to be KY. That's good old keys. That means piano, electric piano, or sounds that sound similar to that. KY are going to be keys. Here is that preset playing. Okay, next, let's look at BR is going to be brass, like a brass instrument. Brass are usually monophonic sounds. Okay, let me show you what a brass sounds like. Brass are usually monophonic. Okay, the next, let's go and listen to the next sound. BR, brass. PD, okay, a pad. Now, a pad is a luscious chord that might have some drone features that might sound like it's supposed to be just in the background. A lot of songs have pads, and they're really crucial to making a song stand out in full. So let's put the pad on so you can hear exactly what a PD pad sounds like. Okay, that is a PD. This is actually called the classic pad. Moving down the line, we have an LD. LD is a lead. Right now I have it on a chords track, so it will not play the chord. I'll even show you. You can even see that the note is just singular. It cannot play a chord. It's a lead. It's supposed to just play single notes at a time. Okay? This is a lead. LD is a lead. Those are for melodies. All right, let's see what else we got here. We have a BS is bass. Bass is monophonic as well. Bass is monophonic as well, just like an LD, a lead. So you're not going to be able to hear a chord with a BS. That is for bass. All right, let's see what else we have. We have a BL is a bell. All right, just to play you what a bell sounds like. And bells can be monophonic. Maybe they're not sometimes. So let's just look over here. Okay, so let's go to the next one. The next one would be, and you can see like they start copying each other. There's not like a lot of different ones, but okay, SY is synth, SQ sequence, PL pluck. Did we do a pluck? I don't think we did a pluck. So let's go ahead and listen to what a pluck sounds like. Okay. What's next? Let's see. We have next PD pad, LD lead, BS bass, SY is a synth, KY, which is keys, and BS. So everything here looks like we have covered. These are the basic types of sounds that these presets are going to make. All right, there's not many others than that. Sometimes they do not have a little letter icon explaining what it is. Most of the time they do not have this wonderful little letter, like right here it says SQ. Most of the time they do not have that. The Juno 60 is really good because most of them do, and I want to show you that. And I want you to get familiar with these. So most of the time they do not, like in other synthesizers. But if you look at like the analog discourse, look at all of these. These are all BS. These are all basses. And down here, these are all LD. These are all leads. So some of these packs are a little bit more expanded than others. Now, there's one more that we did not see on the other preset. Boom, down here, FX. Okay, that's just a sound effects. You can just get a cool sound effects with it, like this. So FX is sound effects. And the last thing is when you see an ARPG, arpeggiator, these are just straight up arpeggiators, which is super cool because I love arpeggiators. So if I just pop that on there. Okay, now that's just arpeggiating the chord. That means it's playing at one note at a time, but it's still playing the chord. Okay, you hear that in songs all the time. So if you see an ARP, that's an ARP. Let's see if there's anything else that we need to cover before you can actually dive in and have some fun with this. Now, there are going to be empty slots where you can create your own preset and store it also. That's what those empty spaces are for. Anyways, that is a lot of sounds for you to first explore. So I am going to take a few minutes and I'm going to find a sound that I really like to match my chords. And then I'll play it for you and I'll tell you what I did to achieve that. Okay, so I spent a few minutes and I have made a 4-track audio idea, a music idea, using just the Juno 60 in 4 different sections. So let me just relabel this one. These are stabs. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to show you guys everything. I only have 4 bars. That's all I really need. Okay, so the first one, let's just say, is my stabs. And for my stabs, I used a keys. I adjusted the MIDI information quite a bit. You can see that the first track, that is what I downloaded earlier. This is my adjusted. All I did was that put one little stab of the chord on every quarter note. That's all this is. These are quarter notes. All right, this is the original, and this is the one that I edited. And you can just double click it, and you can edit your MIDI notes however you want to. And that's the beauty of MIDI instead of an audio loop. So first, I will start with the stabs. Remember, that's every quarter note. Just the same 2 chords that I picked up earlier. Now let's bring in the pads. Add some of that ambience to it. Okay, now the bass line, which is going to be a monophonic 1 note at a time, I had to edit also from the chord progression MIDI thing that we got online earlier. You're going to often have to do this. Okay, this is not, you just don't download it, put it on there and think you made a hit. You have the data, the MIDI data to edit, and that's what we expect you to do with it. So you can see that I cleaned these up. For some reason it had a second row of notes underneath these. I deleted those and I just added these as just a bass stab. And finally, I added the arpeggiator, which is the exact same as the pad, I just copied and pasted the MIDI information from the first track to the third track where the pad was. And now the arpeggiator, it just adds that extra little character to the track. We are layering. Okay, it's highly suggested that you try to layer your sounds to get richer and fuller sounds. That's with the arpeggiator. Okay, so there we have an introduction to the different sounds that the Roland synthesizers are going to present to you in the preset. So go out there, make your 2-bar loop song, read the directions, and have fun.